Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 in our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are using the Thomas Johnson volume, and we turn now to poem 645, Bereavement in Their Death to Feel. Now, a number of scholars have brought this poem back to our earlier studies of 312, 363, and 595, the death of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And while Browning is never mentioned in this poem, it, I think, is a fair assumption. It's clearly whoever is mentioned here. By the way, the word bereavement is only used once in all of her poetry. It's here. Whoever is being referenced here is somebody that Emily holds in high esteem. Our assumption is that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily playlist. I'm hopeful that you've worked through our set of introductory comments where we mentioned the influence of Browning on the life, both Robert as well as Elizabeth Barrett, on the life of Emily and her poetic life especially. And then as well, I'm hopeful that you've already worked through our preceding 644 poems. We just finished with 644, You Left Me, Sire. And if you have, then you'll be familiar with the language of this poem, where Emily is celebrating, giving tribute to someone who she respects. Now, it's clear that Emily is the great poet of loss, and here she'll use two words only time in all of her poetry, bereavement and absconded. She says it this way: bereavement in their death to feel whom we have never seen, a vital kinsmanship import our soul and theirs between. For strangers do not mourn. There be immortal friends whom death see first. 'Tis news of this that paralyze ourselves, who vital only to our thought, such presence bear away, and dying 'tis as if our souls absconded suddenly. Now, I think that it's fair to believe that Emily is maybe referencing a writer or a person that she has great respect for. To say that it's Barrett Browning, we have no immediate proof of that, but it certainly works. She begins with the word bereavement, but notice it's not in her death, it's in their death. In other words, in some ways, when you lose someone you very much respect, they die, and so does a piece or a part of you. So notice it's bereavement in their death to feel whom we have never seen. And of course this is powerful because she never actually met Elizabeth Barrett Browning, had a picture of her on the wall, but she felt somehow akin to her, a vital kinship. Notice we used vital twice here. Kinship, import our soul and theirs between. In other words, there is something, again twice in this poem, our souls, there's something connecting them, she says. Whom death see first, 'tis news of this that paralyze ourselves. In other words, one of the two of us had to go first. She says, you went first, and somehow I'm paralyzed until I'm reunited. Who, vital only to our thought, right? In other words, she never actually met her. Such presence bear away and dying. 'Tis as if our souls absconded, only used once in her poetry, and it's here, suddenly. Well, I think it to the argument that she's making, that it is very hard to lose one that we are so close to, that we love, and then somehow a part of us is lost. At 2b, that makes sense then, that bereavement and absconded both would be used here. At 3a, to relate to other texts, Tennyson's In Memoriam immediately comes to mind. What is it that he says? 'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And I think Emily is playing a very similar game here. Finally, to own a poem like this at 3b, what was a time when you lost someone and then you felt paralyzed or lost? I hope Emily's challenging you. Thank you.